Mother Superior, it's like she's dead. What do we do now?
Sister, let's bury her quickly and leave. No one will ask of her.
Mother Superior, where are you running to?
Please don't kill me. Forgive me.
Now where is the fun if I forgive you just like that?
Run. Yes, run. That was what the holy women of St. Mary's were doing, running like frightened children through their own corridors, veils torn, prayers broken, faith shaking. Can you believe it? Behind them, laughter, soft, slow, enjoying itself. They turned the corner and froze. There she was, standing in the middle of the hallway, still smiling. Her white dress soaked dark with blood that was not washing away. Her head slightly tilted, eyes wide open, not angry, not wild, patient. Oh, now you can run, Ada whispered. The lights burst. Darkness swallowed the corridor. Screams followed. Doors slammed shut by themselves. Feet stumbled. Rosaries snapped. And her laughter echoed everywhere. Because the girl they drowned, the girl they buried like dirt, was back. And tonight, holiness would beg. Come closer, my besties. Yes, you, don't stand far. This one is not for people with a weak heart too. All of you who believe evil always wear a devil's face, come and sit down now. Because today, you will hear about holy hands that did unholy things. Chai, things are happening. Hold yourself well. I am not joking, because this story is not soft. This is the story of a girl they tried to erase. A girl they starved. A girl they broke. A girl they buried without a name. But listen carefully. The earth did not accept her. You hear me? The earth rejected her. And when she came back, even the women who spoke to God began to run. Are you ready, my besties? I said, are you ready? Because once we enter this matter, there is no turning back. Let me tell you about Ada, the girl who refused to kneel, the girl who died and still did not leave. Before we even begin, my favorite people, please do something small but powerful. Hit that subscribe button like it has been avoiding you since last year. And don't forget to like this video. It actually helps the channel grow and allows more people to see these stories. Unless you want to enjoy all this suspense alone. And I know you're not that selfish. Yes, that's my people. Now, let's begin. The rain fell heavily over the crowded edges of the city, beating on rusted roofs like it was also tired of poverty. Inside a small, dim room that could barely call itself a house, Ada lay awake on a thin mattress placed directly on the cold floor, because bed frames are apparently a luxury item in this life. Her mother coughed in the corner, the kind of cough that sounds expensive to treat. Her father sat outside on a wooden stool, staring into darkness like it owed him money. Poverty has a soundtrack. Empty pots, long sighs, parents whispering at night like they are planning a secret mission, but the mission is just survival. Ada was not like other girls. Oh no. While other children accepted this is life like it was gospel, Ada asked questions. Dangerous ones. Why must we suffer quietly? Why is respect always for the powerful? Why should I endure what is wrong? You see the problem? In a poor family, stubbornness is not a personality trait too. It is a liability. Because poor families survive by endurance, not revolution. One afternoon, salvation arrived. Wearing white, calm smile, soft voice, clean sandals. A nun from St. Mary's Restoration School for Girls. Ah yes, the place where difficult girls are trained, corrected, polished, purified. Translation: obey or suffer professionally. She spoke sweetly about food, structure, discipline, education. Ada's parents listened like people hearing hope for the first time in months. Her mother cried. Her father nodded slowly, the nod of a man convincing himself he is doing the right thing. We cannot continue like this. Maybe there she will be saved. Saved from what? Hunger or herself? That night, Ada did not cry. She understood something early, something painful. She was not being sent away because she was bad. She was being sent away because poverty had won, and she was the only thing left to trade.
The journey to St. Mary's was long. The city noise disappeared. Houses thinned out. The road grew quieter. Then the gates appeared, tall, heavy, unwelcoming. The building behind them stood still and grey, like it had never laughed in its life. This was not a school. This was a place where noise went to die. The gates closed behind her with a loud metallic sound. Final, cold, official. Welcome to reform. St. Mary's was a holy place. At least, that's what they told the parents who handed over their daughters like offerings. A place of discipline, of purification, of salvation. How beautiful, how convenient. Because behind those tall gates, prayers sounded louder than screams, and obedience mattered more than breath. Life inside St. Mary's was beautifully organized. Wake up at 4:30 a.m. because sleep is apparently a sin. Cold water bath because comfort builds rebellion. Prayers long enough to make your knees question your existence. Labor, classes, more labor, silence. No phones, no letters, no outside world, just obedience. The food? Let's just say if your stomach complained, it was considered ungrateful. The girls ate quietly, heads down, moving carefully, like people who understood that being noticed was step one toward punishment. Ada tried. She really did. She tried to be quiet, tried to blend in, tried to survive. But some spirits were not designed for folding, and the nuns noticed quickly. Labor was not chores. Oh no, this was character building through suffering. Scrubbing corridors on bare knees, carrying buckets heavy enough to question your life choices, washing clothes that were not yours, standing under the sun until dizziness became a friend. If a girl slowed down, punishment. If she spoke, punishment. If she cried, especially punishment. The other girls had mastered the art of invisibility. Lower your eyes, don't react, don't exist too loudly. But Ada still walked upright, which in that environment was basically treason. The first real clash happened during evening labor. Her arms trembled, hunger clawed at her stomach. She lifted a heavy bucket and it slipped, crashing loudly against the ground. Water spread everywhere. Silence followed. Mother Superior approached slowly, face calm but eyes sharp. "What is wrong with you?" she asked. Ada, exhausted and burning inside, answered quietly, "I am human. Of course I will make mistakes. The bucket is heavy." Wrong answer. The slap came fast and hard. The sound echoed across the courtyard like a warning bell. But Ada did not cry. She stared at the Mother Superior with anger, as if she wanted to strangle her. And that was her real crime. Because pain can be tolerated, but defiance must be destroyed. That night, Ada was locked inside a dark storage room. No food, no light, no comfort. Just darkness thick enough to touch. Fear came first, then something stronger. Anger. Not loud, not dramatic. Cold anger. The kind that sits quietly and says, "Okay, I see you." Curled in the darkness, Ada whispered, "They will not break me." And somewhere deep inside those silent walls, something agreed. When she returned, the other girls avoided her. Not because they hated her, because they were smart. Ada had become marked. The punishment increased, the attention sharpened, the cruelty deepened. But here is the funny thing about pressure. Sometimes, instead of crushing a person, it builds a storm. And inside St. Mary's, a storm was forming. The nuns did not know it yet, but soon they would. Life inside St. Mary's did not improve. If anything, it grew heavier, darker, tighter. Ada had become a problem the nuns could not ignore. They watched her more closely than the others. They punished her faster. They made her work harder. And slowly, the school began to feel less like discipline and more like a machine designed to erase identity. Some nights, girls disappeared from the dormitory and returned different, silent, hollow, avoiding eye contact, moving like shadows of themselves. No one asked questions. Questions brought punishment. Silence brought survival. Some of the nuns would invite beautiful girls to their chambers at night and take advantage of them. The girls pleaded, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. Ada noticed everything, and deep inside her, anger continued to grow, quiet, patient, alive. One hot afternoon, the girls sat in rigid silence inside the classroom, back straight, eyes lowered, hands folded neatly on wooden desks scarred by years of fear. Mother Superior stood at the front, holding a thin wooden cane, not just a teaching tool, but a symbol of control. Her eyes scanned the room until they settled on Ada. "Stand up," she ordered. Ada rose slowly. The lesson turned into interrogation. Question after question, difficult, sharp, deliberate, meant not to teach, but to humiliate. Ada answered correctly, again and again. A faint irritation crossed Mother Superior's face. The class noticed. The room tightened. Then came one final question, complex, layered, meant to trap. Ada tried to answer, but hesitated. Wrong. The first strike came without warning. The cane hit her shoulder hard. Then again, and again, and again. The classroom filled with the sound of wood striking flesh. The other girls stared down, frozen, afraid to breathe. But something inside Ada shifted. Not pain, not fear, something deeper. Something that had been building for too long. The next strike never landed. Ada grabbed the cane, and for the first time, she fought back. What followed was chaos. Years of anger, humiliation, and buried rage exploded at once. Ada struck wildly, blindly, not thinking, not fearing, only releasing everything that had lived inside her. The classroom erupted in screams. Nuns rushed in. Ada was dragged, restrained, overpowered, but her eyes burned with something new. Not defiance, war. They took her far from the others, deep into a hidden part of the building where screams could not travel. The punishment was not immediate. It was slow, calculated, cold. Darkness swallowed the room. Hands forced her down. Water, pressure, breath stolen again and again until panic replaced strength. She was tied to a chair and beaten mercilessly. Pain followed. Exhaustion followed. Fear followed. Time lost meaning. Hours felt like years. At some point, Ada broke. Not her spirit, but her resistance in that moment. She cried. She begged. She pleaded for it to stop. "Please stop," she said. "I'm really sorry. Forgive me." And finally, they released her. "I'm sure you have learnt your lessons, nightmare child," Mother Superior asked. When Ada returned, she was different. Quieter, weaker, moving slowly like someone carrying invisible weight. The nuns believed they had succeeded. They believed she was finally broken, but they misunderstood something important. Submission is not always defeat. Sometimes it is waiting. Days passed, then weeks. Ada followed others, but her eyes had not changed. The other girls noticed, and slowly, quietly, something dangerous began again. Hope. Not loud hope, not foolish hope, but the small forbidden thought. If Ada could resist, maybe they were not powerless. And the nuns sensed it too, which is why they made a decision. If Ada would not bend, she would be erased, and this time they would make sure she never rose again. After the day of the classroom, nothing inside St. Mary's was the same. Ada had crossed a line no girl had ever crossed. She had fought back. From that moment, the nuns watched her differently, not just with anger, with cold attention. They wanted to break her completely, to force her into silence forever. But evil, when fed, does not know when to stop. One evening, the girls were called to eat. The long wooden tables were set as usual. Metal plates were placed before each girl. The smell rose immediately. Sour, rotten, unbearable. This was not new. The girls were often fed spoiled food. The nuns believed suffering purified the body and obedience purified the soul. The girls lowered their heads and began eating slowly, disgust written across their faces, forcing each bite down like medicine. But this time, Ada did not touch her plate. She stared at it. Maggots crawled slowly across the rotten food. Something inside her snapped. She slammed her hands hard against the table and stood up suddenly. "Enough!" she shouted. The hall froze. "We have had enough of this," Ada continued, her voice shaking with rage. "Why do you treat us like animals? Even animals do not eat rotten food. Is this what your scripture teaches? Wickedness in the name of holiness?" The girls stared, terrified. No one had ever spoken like that. One of the nuns stepped forward, furious, and slapped Ada hard across the face. "How dare you!" she shouted. But Ada did not fall silent. Her anger had fully awakened now. "Take this filth away," she shouted. "We will not eat it." The hall was no longer silent. Fear moved through the room like wind. The Mother Superior was called. She entered slowly, eyes cold, presence heavy. Without a word, she struck Ada hard. But something unexpected happened. Ada struck back. The sound shocked everyone. Before anyone could react, Ada grabbed the cane from Mother Superior's hand and, driven by years of buried pain, struck wildly, anger pouring out, uncontrolled, unstoppable. "Evil woman," Ada cried. "You call this God's work?" Chaos erupted. The other nuns rushed in, overpowering her, dragging her away as she struggled, still burning with fury. They took her deep into the hidden punishment chamber. This time, there was no attempt to frighten her, only rage. Blows came fast, hard, relentless. Objects struck her. Hands forced her down. The room echoed with struggle, anger, and heavy breathing. Her body weakened. Her breathing slowed. Her strength faded. Still, somewhere inside, she held on. But the body has limits. And when those limits are crossed, even the strongest fall. At some point, in that long, merciless darkness, Ada stopped moving. Then, she collapsed. Silence filled the room. Blood traced slowly across the floor. One of the nuns touched her neck, searching. Nothing. Her breathing had stopped. Ada was dead. Panic followed, not grief, fear. Before dawn, under grey morning light, they carried her lifeless body beyond the school grounds to a forgotten patch of earth hidden by tall grass. No prayer, no name, no record. The soil covered her quickly, quietly, like she had never existed. Inside St. Mary's, the girls were told only one thing: Ada has been taken away. No one asked where. Fear had returned, heavier than before, and St. Mary's continued as if nothing had happened. Days passed, then weeks, yet something strange began to grow inside the silent halls. At night, footsteps, soft, slow, unfamiliar. Whispers moved through the corridors. Some girls heard her voice, others. The nuns dismissed it as fear, until one night, a nun working alone felt movement behind her. She turned, nothing. Her lantern suddenly went out. Darkness swallowed everything. And in that darkness, she heard breathing, close, watching. The next morning, that nun was gone. No trace, no explanation. And for the first time, fear did not belong to the girls. It belonged to the nuns. And somewhere beneath the earth, where silence thought it had won, something had awakened. After the first disappearance, St. Mary's changed. The building itself seemed uneasy. Doors creaked without touch. Cold drafts moved through sealed corridors. Footsteps echoed where no one walked. And at night, the silence was no longer empty. It was watching. Inside St. Mary's Restoration School, darkness pressed heavily against the corridors. The air was thick, too thick, like the building was holding its breath. Mother Superior sat upright in her bed, heart pounding. Again, another scream, then running footsteps, then a voice, shaking, broken. "She's here! She's here!" The candles along the hallway flickered violently as if something unseen had passed between them. A door slammed shut on its own, then another and another. Inside one of the rooms, a nun backed into the corner, clutching her rosary so tightly her fingers bled. "I buried you," she whispered. From the darkness near the ceiling, a shape began to form. Not fully visible, not fully human, just enough. A silhouette of a girl, still, watching. The room grew colder. "Confess," a voice echoed, not loud but inside her head. The nun shook violently. "Please, please." The walls began to sweat. The air smelt metallic. And then, her lantern exploded. Total darkness. Her scream did not last long. The nuns tried to maintain order. Prayers became longer, punishment harsher, but something unseen had already begun to unravel them. One night, Sister Agnes, known for her cruelty, heard a whisper while locking the hallway. Soft, close. "Do you remember me?" She froze. The lantern flickered, then died. Darkness closed in. By morning, Sister Agnes was found collapsed in the chapel, her face frozen in terror, eyes wide as if she had seen something no living mind could endure. She never spoke again. Days later, Mother Superior sat alone in her office, forcing herself to remain calm. Fear, she believed, was weakness. A young helper placed her usual morning tea on the table and left. Mother Superior lifted the cup slowly. The smell was wrong, metallic. She looked down. The clear tea had thickened, dark, red, blood. Her hands trembled. The cup fell across the floor. Behind her, in the reflection of the window glass, a figure stood, still, silent, watching. Ada. When she turned, nothing was there, but the room had grown colder. Fear began living inside Mother Superior, though she hid it from the others. One evening, exhausted and shaking, she entered the shower chamber. She turned the tap. At first, water. Then suddenly, dark liquid burst out thick, red, flooding the floor, splashing against the walls like something alive. Blood. She screamed, stumbling backwards, slipping, shaking uncontrollably. And through the sound of rushing liquid, she heard it. Ada's voice. You buried truth. Now drown in it. The blood stopped. The floor was dry. Nothing remained, except terror.
The nuns. All the righteous nuns began to beg. They began to break one by one. Each faced something personal. The strict nun who starved the girls awoke, unable to breathe, feeling invisible hands tightening around her throat, whispering, "Hunger remembers." Another saw shadows following her everywhere, silent, patient, until she collapsed, sobbing, begging forgiveness from empty air. Another locked herself in prayer for hours, screaming that Ada stood beside her, watching, waiting. The nuns scattered, crashing into doors, tripping over each other, praying loudly now, desperately. But the gates would not open. The corridors stretched endlessly, and Ada's laughter followed them everywhere. And slowly, they began disappearing. Not violently, not loudly, but one by one, they were gone, leaving behind only fear. Ada did not seek chaos. She sought truth. Every night she appeared, sometimes in mirrors, sometimes in shadows, sometimes in dreams, whispering the same words. Confess. Confess what was done. Confess what was hidden. Confess what they buried with her. The nuns resisted until only one remained, Mother Superior. Sleep no longer came to her. Shadows moved constantly. Whispers filled every silence. Cold followed her everywhere. Then one night, Ada appeared clearly, standing in the corner of her room, not as a corpse, not monstrous, but calm, still, unforgiving. You called this God's work, Ada said softly. You buried screams and called it discipline. You erased lives and called it salvation. Mother Superior collapsed to her knees, shaking violently. Stop, please, stop. But the torment did not stop. Days passed with no rest, no peace, no escape, until finally she broke. St. Mary's reported to a higher authority, a senior priest who oversaw the institution. Shaking, terrified, and barely sane, Mother Superior went to him. Inside the quiet confessional room, she spoke. Everything. The punishments, the cruelty, the girls who suffered, the secrets buried, and Ada. Her voice trembled. We killed her, and she has returned. The priest listened in silence, his face pale, his faith shaken by what he heard, because sometimes evil does not come from demons. Sometimes it comes from those who believe they are righteous. Mother Superior rose from her bed, eyes open but not awake. The corridor was dark, yet she walked steadily as if guided by something unseen. Bare feet on cold floor. Step, step, step. Up the stairs, past the silent chapel, past the locked doors, higher, higher, until she reached the top of the old bell tower, the highest point of St. Mary's. The wind roared around her, and there, standing at the edge, Ada, still, calm, waiting.
Mother Superior's body trembled, but she could not move back. "You made us kneel," Ada's voice echoed softly in her mind. "You made us crawl. You made us beg." Tears streamed down Mother Superior's face. "Please," she whispered weakly. Ada stepped closer, not touching her, not forcing her, just watching, unforgiving. And then Ada spoke the final words. "Face what you made others face, helplessness." The wind grew louder. The world below looked endless. For the first time in her life, Mother Superior felt what her victims felt. Powerless, alone, afraid. Her foot slipped, and she fell. At dawn, the compound was silent. A broken body lay beneath the tower, eyes open, frozen in terror, as if the last thing she saw was Ada. Morning did not arrive gently. It came with screams. A worker crossing the compound looked up toward the bell tower, then froze. Moments later, the alarm bell rang wildly, breaking the heavy silence that had ruled St. Mary's for years. The girls rushed out, confused, frightened, still in their worn uniforms. Some clutched each other, some trembled without knowing why. Then they saw it. Below the tower, surrounded by stunned staff, lay Mother Superior's body, still, broken, eyes wide open in frozen terror. No one spoke, but every girl felt it. Something had ended. Whispers spread quickly through the compound. Some girls cried openly, some stood frozen, some fell to their knees in fear. But beneath the fear, something unfamiliar stirred. Relief. The shadow that had ruled their lives was gone. And though no one said her name aloud, many of them thought of Ada.
By afternoon, the priest returned, this time not alone. Authorities came with him. Their faces were serious, unsettled, heavy with what had already been confessed. They walked through the buildings, dormitories, punishment rooms, hidden chambers, and silence followed them like a witness. The girls watched everything. Some hoped, some feared punishment, some did not yet believe freedom was possible. Then the announcement came. St. Mary's was to be closed immediately. The words felt unreal, like hearing a locked door suddenly open after years in darkness. For the first time since many of them arrived, the gates of St. Mary's opened outward, not to bring new girls in, but to let them out. Some girls stepped forward slowly, unsure, as if expecting someone to shout and stop them. No one did. Some cried uncontrollably. Some stood in shock. Some knelt and touched the ground beyond the gate, as if testing whether freedom was real. Years of fear do not disappear in a moment, but the cage was open. Within weeks, St. Mary's was empty. The building stood silent, windows broken, paint peeling, wind moving through empty corridors where fear once lived. No prayers, no punishments, no screams, only echoes. Grass began to grow across the compound, doors rotted, walls faded, and slowly St. Mary's became what it truly was, a place the world wanted to forget. The girls were sent back to families, shelters, new homes, new lives, but none of them left unchanged. Some carried scars no one could see. Some feared the dark for years. Some never spoke of what happened inside those walls. Yet, many remembered one thing clearly: Ada, the girl who refused to bow, the girl who endured, the girl who died and still fought. Some believed she became justice, some believed she became a spirit of truth, some believed she simply refused to disappear. But all of them knew, without Ada, St. Mary's would still be standing. Years later, travelers passing the abandoned ground sometimes stopped, drawn by something they could not explain.
At night, when the wind moved through the empty halls, some said they heard footsteps. Not heavy, not threatening, free. And sometimes, just sometimes, a soft whisper carried in the dark. They tried to erase me, but truth cannot be buried. Before we go any further, let me ask you something. If the people who hurt you, broke you, buried you like you were nothing, suddenly saw you standing in front of them again, smiling, what would you do? Forgive them? Be honest though, don't try to be holy in my comment section. Now, my people, let me breathe small. I want to say thank you. Yes, you watching right now, thank you for always standing with African Tales by Golden. For your support, your time, your comments, even you that hides and watches without liking. Yes, I am looking at you. For those who have subscribed, may your data never finish in the middle of a sweet story. You people are the real ones. And you, yes, you still thinking whether to subscribe or not. What are you waiting for? A personal invitation from Ada? Go and press that subscribe button. It helps this channel grow and it helps me bring you more stories that will not allow you sleep peacefully at night. Now, listen carefully. After this story, I want you to enter the comment section and tell me one truth. Did Ada do the right thing or did she go too far? Don't run away. I want to hear your mind. Like the video, share it even to that friend that pretends to be brave, and press the notification bell so when the next spine-twisting story drops, you will not come late and start saying, I didn't know. Good. Now, sit well, because this story, it is not friendly.